And I believe we are live. Hello, everyone, or no one, at the present moment. We'll give this a minute, see if anybody pops in here, and then we'll get the show on the road. Check a few things real quick. Okay. Not quite as many people in here as we'd get over on TradingView, but whatever. We will allow this to live in infamy. So going over Bitcoin here and where we kind of left off last week. This is the chart from last week, right exactly where we left off. And I believe, if my memory serves me correctly here, that we were right around this region, I guess. Well, I suppose my memory wouldn't matter if I could just look at the date. So it was like the 25th. So right here is where we were. And we were pushing down and we were testing on this 32,000. And, you know, we made a case that we could be filling kind of this like triangle, or we could see this channel here as well, you know. And we're still pushing into this. So a couple things to look at, and this, you know, a lot of this is just going to kind of be review. There is, you know, not too much happening as of yet with Bitcoin, but I do want to take a look, not just at Bitcoin, but I want to take a look at a few things today across the crypto market here. So first things first, let's start out here on a higher time frame on the log scale, and we're looking at the 1 month chart here. We closed last month here, and I'm just going to kind of hide all these things real quick. We closed last month right here with this, I guess you could call this like a doji-ish, sort of, not really, but this indicates, you know, a little bit of indecision, and so far not really much is happening. We're not too far into June for this month, kind of dipped down a little bit, pulled back up, still holding this area. Let's take this down to 2 weeks. You know, here's the doji, a little long-legged doji. Again, just a lot of indecision in the market, you can see, for the past, you know, 2, 4, 6 weeks, it looks like here. RSI running kind of flat here, right at 50. MACD crossed with the bearish cross, but still in a bullish zone. And then we have our directional indexes pushing, you know, pretty much right up against 20, and with kind of a sustained trend here, but it's really neutral. So still a lot of neutral indications here on the 2 week. And the 1 week isn't much better, right? I mean, we have, you know, it's pretty much moving sideways here. You know, there's, you know, we have on the previous week, this hammer here. We've got, you know, a doji forming this week. I mean, really just nothing happening with Bitcoin this week, you know, just chilling. This, you know, RSI is flat right down here, 42, 44, somewhere around that range. MACD looking possibly to be able to cross here at 0 and see a 0 line cross on our MACD, which could potentially push us lower. Really, I mean, we would go lower and then that would happen, and then we'd probably come down here to, you know, maybe 20,000. And then slight, very so slight directional index, negative directional index here with a decreasing trend, but still a strong, you know, the trend is a strong, like, sideways trend is kind of how I would kind of look at this and interpret it. So even the weekly is not really showing too much. There's a lot of market indecision. I think, you know, that makes sense given the news. A lot of positive news coming out, a lot of negative news. You know, some countries picking this up and considering it as a currency. Other, you know, news is not looking so hot. So, I mean, it makes sense that we're seeing this kind of sideways movement given kind of what's happened across the space. So let's pull this down to the 4-day. And one of the things that I'm looking here at the 4-day and a little bit lower that is not too appealing, but, you know, again, we'll have to see how this plays out, is this divergence here. And, you know, we'll see. Oh, crap. So we'll see how this plays out, but you can see this here and then this here, okay? So on the 4-day here, our RSI is in a bearish zone, right? And we're pushing up against this 382, while our MACD is in a bearish zone as well. And then, you know, our ADX, we have a negative directional index, but it's moving, you know, kind of sideways. So I guess my bias to this at this point is to the downside as far as if we're looking for a breakout of this triangle, at least slightly looking at this higher time frame, right? Let's take it down to the 2-day. This, you know, you can see the same divergence. Now, when you're looking at it here, though, what we may end up seeing here on the 4-day, what were we looking to close on the 4-day? About 9 minutes. Okay, so we got about 9 minutes before we close on this and we see where this next candle goes. So certainly we could see this actually, let me take it back to the 4-day here, break out of here, right? And we'll get a squeeze and a push up potentially to 40,000 range right around there. Let's take it back down to the 2-day. But you can see it's really stayed in this. And again, we pulled this on the 25th. So right around this time frame. So this trend is actually holding, this downside trend. What I'd like to see for confirmation that we are potentially seeing a breakout is our RSI push up above 50. Okay. You know, eventually I'd like to see our MACD push up above, you know, our 0 line and then across on our ADX or our directional indexes here. I'm sorry. And then, you know, of course, a breakout here. And then with that, I'd like to see this pull back, test this 48 to 52 range, and then move back up. I'd like to see that come back and test 35 and then move back up before we see a break and a move on up from 40,000. And, you know, again, that would likely correspond with a break above our 0 line and our directional index cross. So we'll see how that turns out. You know, we got about 10 minutes, I think, is what we were looking at here. Yeah, until the end of the day. And that said, looking at this day, we do keep pushing up on this, okay? If we're looking at our RSI, we keep pushing up against this 50 right here, right? But we do have this divergence, okay? And so if we don't get enough volume, and actually, I don't even have volume up right now. Yeah, so, I mean, nothing too impressive here. We could definitely see some volume come in. But if we see this, you know, push up and break out of this 35, 36, 37, somewhere in this range, we might see a squeeze push us up to 40,000, okay? Which would be great, you know, but you know, it's been playing in this range for, you know, for a while now since, what was that, mid-May. And so that's, you know, a possibility here. I keep marking all this stuff up here. But what we may also see is a rejection here at this 48 to 52 range on our RSI and a pushback below our 382. And, you know, and it just may actually fill out down to the apex of this triangle and get tighter and tighter as we move forward. You know, pushing against 382 on our fib retracement. And this retracement, you know, again, was from last week. I chose these levels specifically because this here, and then this here, right? This was the last time that it was above 50 prior to making this low here. And then this was the last time that we retested 50. So given this trend, right, high, low, high on our fib trend-based extension, I'm looking at these fib levels on our way down. That said, considering those levels, if we do see a break to the downside, where are we looking to go? All right, well, we have all of our Fibonacci levels here annotated, but, you know, the one that I'm really kind of curious about here is kind of this area, the 100% level, right, at 20,000, okay? Clearly we have, you know, this level marked the previous week. This is our 786. So 786 is likely retracement level 50. You know, we'll touch clearly, if we go down or we get a lot of selling off here, then we're going to push down to that as well. All these levels are sustained. Nothing has really happened. This is going to be a quick update just because there's not too much going on. We're looking either for confirmation to break 48 to 52 and a push up going into the next week, because this week was kind of a wash, clearly. Nothing, again, looking at this, not really much happening here. I mean, we're looking to close, in the next day in some change with just flat out doji, which is just, full on market indecision. There's no real direction is how you would read that. So it's, we're it's hard to say. Again, looking at this weekly chart, I'm going to have to say my bias is to the downside. And I say that simply because, this isn't, my feelings, but my technical bias, I should say, at least at this point, is a little bit to the downside, just because we are pushing against this here to possibly see a zero line cross. We do technically have a negative directional index on top here, so, showing that it is currently in a downtrend. And we have not yet broken 50 or our 48 to 52 range here on our RSI. So all things considered, I'm not going to be taking any, high risk or, large positions to the upside yet. I have been kind of accumulating in this range. I'm sure a lot of people have. But I certainly have orders still chilling on the way down if we do push down lower. This 1618 is also an option, okay? And I know a lot of people don't want to hear that, and people are, oh, it's never gonna happen, and this is that. But this 1618 retracement level here at about 13,000 is feasible, right? It's absolutely a possibility for it to come down and hit. It's clearly an area of support, maybe even a little bit lower, but right in here. Maybe we can pull this up even a little bit higher here. So about 14,000. Yeah. And we had a breakout right here. So, a pretty drastic sell-off would need to take place to get us down to there. But it's, it's not, I don't think we're out of the woods as far as that's concerned. Because, again, we're still pretty bearish here. Bearish here. So we'll see how it plays out over the next week. We'll get an update then. And, we'll come back and review it as that happens. I did real quick want to kind of look at a couple other things, and first of which is Ethereum, and we'll just go to Bitstamp here. So Ethereum kind of, it pretty much looks the same as Bitcoin. However, Ethereum to me looks a little more bullish. It looks like it has a little bit more potential to break out here. Okay, now whether or not this breaks out and it may pull Bitcoin up, or whether Bitcoin dumps and it just drags this down, is yet to be seen. But that said, just looking at this chart on Ethereum, we have a pretty solid trend upward here. You can tell, and I don't have my regression, but let's take this to a linear chart, and well, no, let's just draw the trend line here. Right, we can see pretty clearly that this trend is still intact, right? I mean, however you want to draw this, I could draw a little tighter, but you see that this trend is still intact. And if we were to kind of take this and look for a mean, I would probably call the mean right around like this area right here, somewhere in there, And so, this is a pretty good indication that we've found bottom. Now, if we break below this, I mean, clearly we've got an area of support here that we're finding, right? And you could look at this as a triangle as well, taking this here, which is a lot like what we're seeing on Bitcoin as well. But looking at this structure and where we're pushing up on our RSI, at least on the daily here, pushing up against this 50 again, potentially, we've got this this kind of like little bit of a divergence, I guess we could say here, on our price action moving down, but our RSI has actually found support here. the 382 breaking up and we're pushing up against this. I think there's a better chance, for whatever reason, if we get some volume coming in here for Ethereum to push up here. So that said, where it could potentially go, let's take a look here. And all I'm going to do for this is do exactly kind of what we did for Bitcoin and do a high or low, high, low. Okay. And just look at these levels, see how they're respected. Let's take this down maybe to a 4-hour chart. They're pretty well respected here. So 1618, 39,000, so about 4,000 here would be a level that I'd like to see it push against. The 618 here, we're going to need to see a break above that. And just the levels coming up to this. All right. So, this is going to be a significant level right in here of resistance as well. And then just, I mean, you can see these. So now looking at this on a 4-hour chart, there's this divergence. You see how we're kind of curling here on our RSI, curling down, finding resistance against the 618 on the 4-hour chart. We had this divergence here, which pushed us lower, right? But then we found support at this 48.52 range. I guess that would be about 44, I guess. And that corresponded with this area of support right in here. So, we may push back down, but if this trend, this kind of smaller trend here holds true, and we break to the upside of this structure, I would anticipate this to really just kind of shoot off to the upside here. Now, if we break low, we may... Sorry about that. We may just end up kind of moving sideways for a little bit as well. So a lot of stuff to watch here. I'm not taking any big trades on this. I've been scalping some alts on some pretty small positions, but that's about it. Just because there's just still a lot of indecision in the market from my perspective. So that's what we're looking at now. Thanks for watching with me here. I think maybe we have one person here. Maybe that's just me looking at this on my my other browser window here. But we'll take a look here. It's 2 o'clock, moving into the new day. Let's see how this plays out, and we'll do a midweek update and take it from there. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you soon.